council come to order. Will you poll the council for attendance, please?
Van Kelly.
Here.
Bruce.
Here.
Wonder.
Yes, ma'am.
Fuller.
Here.
Potter.
Here.
Longo. Absent. Turner.
Here. Item number 2, pledge of allegiance to the flag. Will you please join me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Amen. Amen, yes. Okay, item number 3, hear visitors on matters pertaining to city business. Under the Texas Open Meetings Act, the council is prohibited from discussing, responding, or acting on any comments or any items that have not been properly posted on the agenda. Do we have any tonight?
No, sir.
All right. Item number 4, consider approval of minutes of the city council regular meeting of November 16, 2020. I now open it to the council for discussion, movement to motion, and or question.
Mr. Mayor, I move approval of the minutes as presented but allow for corrections.
I have a motion to accept the minutes but allow for corrections. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Dr. Bruce and a second from Bob Potter. I call for final question, discussion, and or any corrections. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Van Kelly.
Yes.
Bruce.
Yes.
Wonder.
Yes, ma'am.
Fuller.
Yes.
Potter.
Yes.
Turner.
Yes. Item number 5, public hearing and action on ordinance number 2020-21, rezoning a property known as Ocampo C A-32 Track 1, parentheses 2 and 27ths of an acre, located in the 400 block of East Spring Valley Road, Hewitt, McLennan County, Texas, from an R1 single-family district to an R5 single-family attached dwelling district. The way I will conduct all of my public hearings this evening is I will call for those speaking in favor. They will have 5 minutes to speak, and then I will call for those speaking against. If we have any speaking in favor and against, then we will have a rebuttal of 1 minute each, and then a final rebuttal of those speaking in favor. Do I need to repeat those instructions to anyone? Hearing none, I'll now open the public hearing for the item number 5 on our agenda. Those speaking in favor step to the left and state your name and address. My second call for those speaking in favor step to the left and state your name and address. This is my third and final call for anyone speaking in favor. Please step to the left and state your name and address. Those speaking against, step to the left and state your name and address. My second call, sir.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to point out that in terms of opposition for tonight's public hearing, on page 30 and 31 of your packet, you have 2 comment forms, one from Mr. Richard Driver, 320 East Spring Valley Road, and one from Mr. Eric Vogelsinger at 317 Nash Drive, expressing their opposition for the public hearing that you're in, but it impacts the other 3 after this one as well.
As well.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, then, do you think I should read these into the minutes at this point, or wait till we finish the public hearing and then read it in for information as to the council?
I would do that. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware those existed.
Okay. You would do the second one or the first one? Read it now, or wait and do it for the council's benefit?
I would wait and do it
Okay.
at the end.
Okay. All right, this is my second call for those speaking against. Step to the left and state your name and address. My third and final call for those speaking against. Step to the left and state your name and address. Hearing none and hearing no one for or against, I will close the public hearing and open it now for the action part to the council. But before I do, I want to read into the minutes 2 public comment forms. The first one, in order to practice social distancing and follow the stay-at-home orders for the state, county, and city, all upcoming city council meetings will be live streamed on the City of Hewitt's webpage at www.cityofhewitt.com-HewittTXTV. The City of Hewitt encourages feedback from the public at all public meetings and hearings. The city has established this means for the citizens to provide comments without attending meetings in person. This public comment forum is available for comments on any topic or any agenda item, including public hearing items. All citizens wishing to offer a public comment must submit their request to the city secretary no later than noon of the day of the meeting. Please complete the form via email and send it to the city secretary. Our meeting date, 12/01/2020, contact information. The name is Mr. Richard Driver. His address is 320 East Spring Valley Road, City of Hewitt, 76643. His phone number is 806 area code 241-0098. His email is richard.d.driver, all lowercase, @gmail.com. The agenda item will be pertinent to items 3A, B, and 4AB. Here are his comments. He wishes to express concern in opposition to two requests of Robert Cervenka on behalf of Roy Nash to rezone property located on or near Spring Valley Road from R1-G residential single-family garden homes to R5 single-family attached. Spring Valley Road is not currently designed to accommodate the amount of traffic and congestion witnessed daily, and the proposed construction of single-family units would overwhelm the highway in current configuration. Adding new home construction and required traffic to current configuration would increase congestion and disrupt flow of traffic in current configuration and disrupt plans for expansion and modifications of the highway in upcoming years. Signed, Richard Driver. Second public comment forum is council meeting 12/1/2020. First name is Eric. Last name is Vogelsinger. It's Vogelsinger. It's Vogelsinger. He resides at 317 Nash Drive, the City of Hewitt, zip 76643. His email is evogelsinger@gmail.com, all lowercase. And the phone number for him is area code 254-495-6498. What agenda item do you wish to comment on? His agendas are case number Z-2020-7. And it says, I am in opposition. Comments and questions. I am writing to express my strong opposition to case number Z-2020-7, the proposed rezoning of Ocampo CA-32 tracts 1, 1A, 1B, and 1C. There are a number of reasons I am opposed to rezoning, including traffic, environment, schools, and property values. Adding a street entering onto Spring Valley would increase traffic problems in that stretch of the road. Drivers going north on Spring Valley are accelerating to get to the I-35 on-ramp, and others are stopping to turn left on Attaway Road. A neighborhood of duplexes are already going up near that intersection. This section of Spring Valley is at its max capacity. Currently, the land has a rather large creek running through it. Even with skillful engineering, it does not seem practical to build higher density homes by eliminating a creek. There is other land available in McLennan County that does not require removing a creek. Midway schools are reported at overcapacity, and the council should not approve zoning that allows for townhomes or similar housing. This will only exacerbate the problem. Property values are likely to go down if the area is rezoned, and many families, including myself, purchased homes with the understanding that the land near them would remain single-family homes. By combining small townhomes with single families, the entire feel of the neighborhood changes. That feel means less dollars when prospective buyers drive through a neighborhood. This is not the direction that the City of Hewitt needs to be heading. I urge you not to allow the proposed rezoning. I am confident that our neighbors have similar thoughts on the situation, even some who have not managed to submit a public comment explaining their opposition. I do hope that the potential developer involved in the case finds other property to develop into affordable housing within McLennan County. Thank you for all that you do for our community. We appreciate you. Best regards, Eric and Sarah Vogelsinger. I believe that's everything, is it not?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
All right, council, I'll now open it for the action side of this to either a motion or question or discussion. Mr. Ben-Colley.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, concerning the rezoning request, I have several questions and concerns that, as you've heard, have already been presented in comments. I also received an email directly to my council address from Darren Bowden of 901 Eagles Nest Drive, stating, with the current news of Spring Valley work being put on hold, I am completely against rezoning the Nash Drive and Spring Valley area. The streets are overpopulated and townhomes, duplexes, etc. are not needed. Please vote no on this issue and keep this area zoned as is. And again, that's Mr. Darren Bowden of 901 Eagles Nest Drive. I have a few questions, and I've gone through the zoning things, and I want to make sure I understand this correctly. An R5, does that prevent high-density housing as defined under an R4? Could they change their mind and build apartments instead of duplexes?
I do not believe so, because I believe, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bancali, I believe that the R5 zone is for you to be able to have common walls, and by definition. And their intentions are to sell these units and not necessarily rent these units.
Okay. And our engineer's not here tonight. I don't know what they would do to address the creek, but that would be a great concern of the area, because anytime you start trying to divert natural water flow, you end up with problems elsewhere. So do you have any idea what they would do to address that concern?
To date, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bancali, to date, the conversation initially, when they started, they thought that there would be the potential to do away with the creek. Don't believe that they can. Now, they may be able to reshape the creek so that more of their land could potentially be usable. But we don't have that actual plan, you know, if you follow what I'm saying.
Yes.
So that we can study those things necessarily on the ground.
Okay. And in reading the materials and from the zoning commission, zoning board, there was mention that the landowner wanted to work with the residents and offered verbal assurances. And I'm here to say that the only assurance that's enforceable is in the form of a deed restriction. To sit there and say, we won't do this with the land, or we won't have this, that's nothing. So whatever that the landowner wants to assure needs to exist in a restriction in the deed that is enforceable and binding, not a non-binding, unenforceable verbal statement. Now, I've asked my questions, and I've got several concerns, and again, like I said, they were also brought forth by the residents in the area. First and foremost is the fact that these proposed duplexes are different than the adjacent homes on Nash. You drive down a residential street and you're seeing single family, single homes, and then you drive into an area that's got duplexes on it, those property valuations will most likely decrease. It's not a good mix, in my opinion. I completely agree with Mr. Vogelsinger. Taking existing neighborhood of R1 homes and adding duplexes to that is not a good mix and will reduce property values. My second concern has to do with the traffic in the area. Now, I did some research on my own, and these numbers are not backed up by anybody on council or at the city or anything. These are my numbers. Talking about 40 new homes to start with, 40 new duplexes, new units. Plus, we have over 75 additional residences being built that include the duplexes on Spring Valley Road, the new homes that are going to be or are currently being constructed in Sunflower Ridge, the garden homes of Warden Park. It's going to add additional homes. And then the restriction, not the restriction, the recent news that they have basically put the Spring Valley widening project on hold is disturbing, because there is no guarantee that that's going to get restarted anytime soon. And I know it's not dead, but it has been delayed. The third thing that I'm concerned about is our water system. Now, these are some really rough numbers here, and if my math is correct, when you look at the new homes in Moonlight Edition, which is at least 70 new homes, about 23 to 25 new ones in Sunflower. There's the final phase of Stone Ridge, which is at least 25 new homes. The garden homes of Warren Park, which I estimate to be about 25 new homes. The duplexes on Spring Valley that are new, that's 28 units. You start adding all that up, you're looking at 750,000 gallons of water a month when you're using averages for duplexes of about 1,500 gallons a month. For a home, I used an average of 3,000 gallons a month, and we know that if you have a home in Hewitt and you plan to water your yard during the year, that 3,000 number is a pipe dream. You're not going to get 3,000, you're more likely going to get 15,000. So my concern is also with the capacity of our existing water system. We've already been denied additional capacity or flow rate from the city of Waco. So most likely we're going to be looking at additional costs to address our water needs in the future. I've also had, over the last 6 months to a year, with very limited contact because of the coronavirus, people ask me, is it our intent to cover every square foot, every green area in Hewitt with a house, an apartment, or a duplex? They talk about needing more businesses to provide services for our city and not more homes. Our schools are overcrowded. We're building new schools. We're facing additional costs for the schools. As a council, part of our charge is to make sure that we guard the property values of our residents. We need to make sure people can afford to live in our community. The addition of these duplexes is an addition to our city that we don't need at the time. The streets in the area are not prepared to handle the traffic, and these duplexes will add to that problem, and it will add to the problem of our water system. I move to deny this rezoning request and all associated with this request. Thank you.
So you make sure I
That's-
understood. You did
that is
make a
my motion.
to
Yes,
deny,
sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. I have a motion to deny. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Ben Colley. I have a second from Dr. Bruce. I call for question and our discussion. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Ward Mayor,
Yes, ma'am. No, let me ask you, yes means we are not doing this.
Yes means to.
You are supporting his motion
I
to
am
deny.
supporting that motion, and my
Okay.
answer is
Yeah,
yes.
a
Not-
yes is to support the motion to deny.
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Van Kelly,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes. Item number 6, public hearing and action on ordinance number 2020-22, rezoning of property known as Ocampo CA-32 Track 1A, in parentheses 1.258 acres, located in the 400 block of East Spring Valley. Hewitt, McLennan County, Texas, from R1 Single Family District to R5 Single Family Attached Dwelling. I will once again run my public hearing the same way.
Mr. Mayor, just a question. I
Yes.
think his motion was to deny all associated, so do we need to go through all of the next three?
Well, let me refer that to the city manager.
Mr. Mayor, Councilor Bruce, because we're dealing with 4 different tracts of land, there's 4 different ordinances, so you would have to take action on all 4 of those ordinances.
I was gonna say I thought we should address each one individually, but I was gonna make sure I was on track to do that. Okay, does that answer your question, Dr.
Yes.
Bruce? Okay, so, any other questions before I begin this one? All right,
I'm sorry, I do
yes, sir,
have a
Mr.
question.
McCauley.
Since we've already covered the public comment, is there any need to go through the for and against discussion?
Well, I'll call for the for and against, but I won't reread the comments since
Okay,
it
okay,
pertains to
okay.
it.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, but I do think to be consistent with everything, I should do the same proceedings with my public hearings as I do with all of them.
And we can just reference the previous comments in
Yes.
opposition for each one.
Yes. Okay, any other discussions before I begin my public hearing? If not, public hearing is now open on item number 6. Those speaking in favor, step to the lectern, state your name and address. This is my second call for those speaking in favor, step to the lectern, state your name and address. This is my third and final call for those speaking in favor, step to the lectern, state your name and address. Those speaking against, please step to the lectern, state your name and address. This is my second call for those speaking against, step to the lectern, state your name and address. This is my third and final call for those speaking against, please step to the lectern, state your name and address. Hearing none from either side, I will now close the public hearing. And before I open it for action to the council, I will reference this, that under item 5, we read two comments into public record, so I will reference back to those as a part of this as well. Is that good enough, folks?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll now open it to council for question, discussion, and/or movement to a motion. Did I see a hand first over there?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Bancroft,
I move to deny the rezoning request.
I have a motion to deny this zoning request. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Bancroft and a second from Mr. Potter. I call for final discussion and/or question. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Van Kelly,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Fordberg,
Yes, ma'am.
Turner.
Yes. Item number 7, public hearing and action on ordinance number 2020-23, rezoning a property known as Ocampo CA-32 Track 1B / 2.39 acres located in the 400 block of East Spring Valley, Hewitt, McLennan County, Texas, from R1 Single Family District to R5 Single Family Attached Dwelling Districts. I'll now open my public meeting the same as I have the other two. Are there any questions before I begin? Hearing none, I'll now open the public hearing. Those speaking in favor, step to the lectern, state your name and address. This is my second call for those speaking in favor, step to the lectern, state your name and address. This will be my third and final call for those speaking in favor, step to the lectern, state your name and address. Those speaking against, step to the lectern, state your name and address. This is my second call for those speaking against, step to the lectern, state your name and address. This is my third and final call for those speaking against. Please step to the lectern, state your name and address. Hearing no pros or cons, I will close the public hearing and now open it to council for the action part. But before I do, I believe that the comments on item number 5 will be referenced again,
Yes, sir.
read from the citizens. So we will reference back to those without me having to reread them in 2 minutes. I now open it to the council. Mr. Bancroft.
Mr. Mayor, I move to deny this rezoning request.
I have a motion from Mr. Bancroft. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Bancroft and a second from Mr. Fordberry. I call for question and/or discussion. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Potter,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Fordberg,
Yes, ma'am.
Van Kelly,
Yes.
Turner.
Yes. Item number 8, public hearing and action on ordinance number 2020-24, rezoning property known as Ocampo C, A-32 Track 1C, 2.05 acres located in the 400 block of East Spring Valley Road, Hewitt, McLean County, Texas, from R1G Single Family Garden Home Districts to R5 Single Family Attached Dwelling Districts. I'll now open my public hearing as I have the others. Before I begin, do I need to hear any discussion or anyone have any questions? If not, public hearing is now open. Those speaking in favor, step to the lectern, state your name and address. This is my second call for those speaking in favor, step to the lectern, state your name and address. This is my third and final call for those speaking in favor, step to the lectern, state your name and address. Those speaking against, step to the lectern, state your name and address. This is my second call for those speaking against, step to the lectern, state your name and address. This is my third and final call for those speaking against, step to the lectern, state your name and address. Hearing no expression on either side, I'll close the public hearing, and I will move it now to the council with the action item with the same caveat that this reference back to item 5, 2 things read from the public. So now I'll open it, and Mr. Bancali, I see your hand up. Yes, sir.
I move to deny this rezoning request.
I have a motion to deny. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Bancali and a second from Mr. Fuller to deny this. I call for question and our discussion. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Fuller,
Yes.
Wardbury,
Yes, ma'am.
Bruce,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes.
Bancroft,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes. Item number 9, authorize the purchase of a non-CDL pipe hunter sewer jet truck from Texas Underground, Inc. in the amount of $140,729. Bo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is one of the items that was to be short-term financed in fiscal year 2021 budget. The item was budgeted for $165,000. The price that Mr. Rinke has been able to secure on this particular piece of equipment is $140,729 for the purchase of this pipe hunter sewer jet rotter from Texas Underground, and this purchase is being made through a by-board state contract. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council.
All right, I'll now open it to council for discussion, question, and or movement to a motion.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Fortenberry.
Bo, on the purchase of the equipment, can you help us on the advantages of it versus the way we've been doing it, cost savings, et cetera?
Currently, we have basically a piece of equipment called the Vector truck. And that Vector truck is a large piece of equipment that requires a CDL driver's license that has limited accessibilities to some of where we have sewer needs to utilize a jet rotter. This is a much smaller unit that will allow us to get into tight areas where we can't get the current Vector truck into specifically.
That's all. Thank you. Thank you.
And it does not, this one, as opposed to the bigger truck, does not require a CDL, so anyone could operate it that's been kind of shown how to do it, right?
Yes, sir.
Without any kind of state requirements and all.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Bencali?
You may have said this and I may have missed it. It's the same functionality. It will do the same or more.
Than what we currently have.
This will, no, sir.
Oh.
The Vector truck has other features to it that allow us to pressurize water for blockages, but also allows us to draw water and basically in its operation. So when you have like a water line, the Vector truck is not just used for sewer,
Right.
it's also used for water. And
Okay.
so when you have a situation where you're digging in a ditch with the water line main that's broken, that Vector truck can sit there and draw on that water and get it out. This jet rotter truck will not do that. It will only spray, and it will only basically remove a blockage.
Okay, okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
That's it.
Drew?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Fortenberry.
I did have one other question. On the unit that we have now, the CDL requirement size unit, is this a replacement unit, or is it in addition to? Are we gonna keep this unit or sell the one we have? or-
This is in addition to.
In addition, okay, thank you.
That everything?
Yes, sir.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Fortenberry.
I'd like to move to authorize the purchase of the non-CDL Pipe Hunter Sewer Jet Truck from Texas Underground, Inc. in the amount of $140,729.
I have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Fortenberry and a second from Dr. Bruce. I call for question and or discussion. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Van Kelly,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Fortenberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Turner,
Yes. Item number 10, authorize the purchase and installation of security smart glass for the customer service windows and the community services to Anderson Glass in the amount of $11,600. Vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is a purchase that we're looking to make out of our current budget that will help provide an additional degree of security down at our community services building. It is it's a wide open building. There's only a counter that exists there. And that's the place where folks go who have had their water cut off, if you understand what I'm saying. And sometimes they can, emotions can be a little high. And so, this particular, purchase would allow us to be able to protect the area above the counter where the three ladies sit that work customer service down there. There will be a subsequent purchase that's much less. It's gonna be around $700 that will allow us to provide some security underneath that counter, if you follow what I'm saying, so that we have a little bit more secure area for those employees to work in. Thank you.
All right, sir. I now open it to council for discussion, question, and or movement to a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Bancalli.
I move to authorize the purchase and installation of security smart glass to Anderson Glass in the amount of $11,600.
I hear a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Bancalli and a second from Mr. Fuller. I call for final question and or discussion. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Bruce,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Fortenberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Potter,
Yes.
Van Kelly,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes. Item number 11, authorize the purchase of a 2021 Ford F-150 Super Cab 4x2 for the utility services from Rockdale Country Ford in the amount of $26,375. Vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is also a purchase that was in this budget for short-term financing. It is a replacement of a truck, pickup truck in the utility. The amount of money that was budgeted for this particular truck was $28,000. And we're able to purchase this particular pickup off of Buy Board, another state contract, for $26,375. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I now open it to council for question, comments, or movement to a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Potter.
I move to authorize the purchase of a 2021 F-150 Super Cab 4x2 from Rockdale Country Ford in the amount of $26,375.
I have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Potter, a second from Mr. Fortenberry. I call for final question and or discussion. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote?
Van Kelly,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Fortenberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Turner,
Yes. Item number 12, consider appointment of municipal court judge and associate municipal court judge. Bo?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, the city charter, in its current writing, requires you to appoint a municipal judge each and every year. When that charter probably gets amended at some point in time in the future, that will probably be every 2 years, so that it kind of coincides with state law. But in that, Dan Francis has been serving as your municipal judge here in Hewitt for a number of years. And I'm not sure how many, but I know quite a while. And Mr. Francis is still willing to continue to serve in that capacity. And he has made one recommendation, and that recommendation be an alternate judge by the name of Will Hudson. And Mr. Hudson would only serve in the event that Mr. Francis had a conflict with something. So that's what this particular agenda item is regarding. We pay Mr. Francis $1,100 a month to serve as the judge, and that's the only remuneration in this action.
Okay, sir. I now open it to council for discussion, question, comment, and our movement to a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move to
Dr.
approve
Bruce.
the appointment of municipal court judge Dan Francis and alternate judge Will Hudson.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion for Dr. Bruce, a second for Mr. Potter. I call for question and our discussion. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Bruce,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes.
Bankole,
Yes.
Wonder,
Yes, ma'am.
Fuller,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes. Item number 13, consider appointments and/or reappointments of members to the Parks and Beautification Committee and the Library Board. Bo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The terms of Jerry Snyder, Conway Briscoe, and Jamie McKinney, who serve on the Parks and Beautification Committee, expire the end of this month. Mr. Snyder, Mr. Briscoe, and Ms. McKinney have committed to serving for another 2-year term. The terms of Eric Ames, Karen Copeland, Lydia Dashner, and Beth Oakley, who serve on the library board, expire in December of this year. Ms. Dashner has committed to serving another 2-year term. Mr. Ames, Ms. Copeland, and Ms. Oakley have declined reappointment and don't want to continue to serve. As the council meetings are closed to the public, we do have new applicants for those vacancies on the library board. And in your packet, you have the applications of Julie Holcomb, Jennifer Hunt, and Jerry Snyder. And they have all expressed an interest in serving to replace those 3 individuals on the library board. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, council, I now move to open it for question, comment, discussion, and our movement to a motion. Mr. Bankole?
I do have a question. Is Jerry for the Arts and Beautification? Jerry Snyder? Can he do both?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay, so he's gonna do both.
He's gonna be on both the library board and Parks and Beautification?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just a clarification. Thank you very much.
Is that all, Mr. Bankole?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any other comments or questions? Or movement to a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Thornberry?
I move to reappoint Mr. Snyder, Mr. Briscoe, and Ms. McKinney to the Parks and Beautification Committee for a 2-year term expiring December 2022. And I also move to reappoint Lydia Dashner and to appoint Julie Holcomb, Jennifer Hunt, and Jerry Snyder to the library board for a 2-year term ending in December 2022.
I have a motion, do I hear a second? I have a motion for Mr. Fortenberry, a second for Mr. Dunkali. I call for final question and our discussion. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Van Kelly,
Yes.
Pollard,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Fortenberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Turner,
Yes. Item 14, consideration and action on resolution number 2020-14, amending and adopting the City of Hewitt's investment policy. Bo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. According to the Public Funds Investment Act, the investment policy of the city of Hewitt has to be reviewed as well as adopted on an annual basis. And in that policy, it outlines how the investment officers, meaning myself and Ms. Garcia, are to be public stewards or stewards of the public's money, and what we can and cannot invest in and what requirements we have to meet. But if you look in your packet that you've been provided, I tried to give you the investment policy in a form that showed you some modifications that should be made to that investment policy. And if you will, on page 67, the first modification you'll see is the date, obviously needing to be changed, that it's approved by the council. If you go, there, and understand there are some typographical changes in here as well. So like on page 68, where you see something that you can barely see that's deleted, it was a period that was there that doesn't necessarily need to be there. You have the same thing on page 69. On page 70, you start getting into some word changes or some nomenclature changes with investments. If you look on page 70 under marketability, you will see where 0.25% has been deleted, and what has been inserted in there is 10 basis points instead, okay? And then in the paragraph under liquidity, instead of demand deposit accounts, you will see financial institution accounts. At the bottom of the page of 70 in marketability, again, you see the change from 0.25% to 10 basis points. On the following page, on 71, you will see again a repeat, the deletion of demand and financial institution, as well on both places on page 71 under liquidity. From there, if you go to page 73, you will see a new sentence under investment officer in the second paragraph under investment officer, last sentence. Basically says that the training that we have to receive must include education in investment controls, security risks, strategy risks, market risk, diversification of investment portfolio, and compliance with the Public Funds Investment Act. The act itself requires, repeat training every 2 years. This just kind of defines what that repeat training is supposed to be. On page 74, and this is in the paragraph under prudence. That used to read there, the standard of prudence as defined by the Act, which was kind of hard to quantify, so that's being changed to care. The standard of care as defined by the Act. And then you'll see the paragraph, and you will see changes from circumstances then to circumstances that a person of prudence is referenced. Instead of which exercise, it's wood exercise, persons' own affairs as opposed to just management of affairs. And basically, that is just language changes to try to make this prudence requirement a little bit easier to understand. On page 76, under investment parameters, you will see where investments has been deleted and securities has been added. So it basically says the longer the maturity of securities as opposed to the longer the maturity of investments. The next thing on page 76 that was changed is authorized banks and dealers. That was just bolded. It wasn't bolded in the previous policy. On page 78, you will see in the very top paragraph, the word delivered is deleted, and it's settled delivery. This is going back and forth between delivery versus payment. We don't pay for any investments until they're delivered. Down at the bottom of the page, PFIA policy certificates, you'll see the word manager is deleted and instead management is inserted. On page 79, you will see a sentence that has been amended, basically, that starts on page 78, says each business organization will be required to sign a certification acknowledging that the business organization has received and reviewed the city's current investment policy, and that reasonable procedures and controls have been implemented to preclude investment transactions that are not authorized by the city's policy, except to the extent that this authorization is dependent on an analysis of the makeup of the city's entire portfolio or requires an interpretation of subjective investment standards as required by the Act. So this is basically further narrowing the scope of how the investments that we have are reviewed. If you go to the bottom of the page on 79, you've got, under reporting, you see the deletion of book and market value. Now you see current and prior market value being inserted there. On the page 80, the changes there are either date-driven or numerically driven based upon a change in statutory number. And then on page 81, you will see attachment A, which lists authorized brokers and dealers for which we can do business with. And you will notice that Raymond James and Associates has been deleted, and inserted has been Samco Capital Markets Incorporated. With that, Mr. Mayor, members of council, nothing else in this investment policy has changed from what you have known and seen previously. Again, the investment policy of the city of Hewitt, the primary objectives of that policy are safety and preservation principle first, maintenance and sufficient liquidity second, diversification, public trust, and reasonable interest earnings. That's in order of priority with that investment policy. With that, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, sir. I open now to council for question, discussion, and/or movement to a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Fortenberry.
I move to approve resolution number 2020-14, amending and adopting the City of Hewitt's investment policy.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Fortenberry, a second from Mr. Bob Potter. I call for final question and or discussion. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Zach Kelly.
Yes.
Potter.
Yes.
Bruce.
Yes.
Fuller.
Yes.
Woodbury.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Item 15, consideration and action on resolution number 2020-15, authorizing the city manager to enter into a 2-year agreement with the Greater Hewitt Chamber of Commerce for marketing and promotion. Bo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. The city of Hewitt has been engaged in a services contract with the Greater Hewitt Chamber of Commerce for several years. The purpose of that agreement and contract is basically the marketing, promotion, and advertising of the community. In essence, what else that it does is it provides the ability for the chamber and their volunteers to be able to help us with our events that occur in the community, whether they're solely a city event or whether they're a chamber-driven event. And it also provides, in this particular agreement, for the Greater Hewitt Chamber to utilize the depot as an office location. This contract is the same contract that you had previously. Each time this contract has been entered into, it's been for a 2-year period of time. So this agreement would be good until, if approved by the council, through December 31st of 2022. And in addition to the items that are in the agreement, there should be an attachment that outlines, yes, attachment A, the promotional program. It's on page 93 of your packet. It outlines the promotional program that the chamber actually ends up performing for us. This agreement is basically an agreement that we pay the chamber $30,000 per year, $2,500 per month for this marketing, promotion, and advertising. And the funds that are utilized to pay for this agreement come from hotel and motel funds and not necessarily from general fund tax dollars. This comes from occupancy taxes. Thank you.
I would like to make a comment because I've worked with the Chamber of Commerce almost since they began. I wasn't quite in the first few, but I was in it since about 1980, and I can tell you this, I do not believe we could find people that would work harder for us to develop our chamber and do a better job. We have totally devoted people, and I can tell you this, when I go places, even when it's not city affiliated, I have people asking about our chamber. Because they see their website and I say, man, they're active. And I said, sometimes they're even more active than Waco is. And I said, I have nothing but praise for the girls that run that place. I am totally amazed sometimes at how much they do accomplish with it and how dedicated they really are to us. I have been to towns where they do not have a Chamber of Commerce, and the largest, it reminds me of a friend of mine I knew at Baylor, and that's been back in the 70s. He was from Electra, Texas, and I told him, I said, yeah, I drive through there going to New Mexico, and man, Electra's kind of dying and all. He said, Charlie, the only thing growing in Electra, Texas is the cemetery. Everybody moves away, lives their life, but want to be buried back here. And I said, yeah, I can see that. But I see when I go through smaller towns and even some of the larger ones, if that chamber is not there active, the business people are not involved, and the citizens aren't there partnering with them, you can look at a town and tell it, or at least I can. And I tell you what, when people come to Hewitt, one of the first things they do when they find out about what we're doing and everything here, they ask me and say, how in the world do you get them to do that? And I said, it's not that we get them to, they're that dedicated. And I believe that Of course, I support the chamber 100%. I'm a member, not with a business, but as an individual, and I will always be. And I can tell you this right now, the only way I will vote on something like this is to support it 100% because I could not ask more of them. Just like our employees, I could not ask more of these people to be more dedicated. That is my opinion, so now I will yield the floor to anyone that wishes to discuss, question, or movement to a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Bencoli.
I move to approve Resolution 2020-15, authorizing the city manager to enter into a 2-year agreement with the Greater Hewitt Chamber of Commerce.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Bencoli and a second from Dr. Bruce. I call for final question and our discussion. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Fuller,
Yes.
Fortenberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Bruce,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes.
Bankole,
Yes.
Turner,
Absolutely, yes. Item 16, consideration and action on resolution number 2020-16, authorizing the city manager to enter into a 380 agreement on economic development with BDC Family Limited Partnership. Bo?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, a few meetings back, we had an executive session in which you sent me in a direction to try to work out an arrangement with the local business to help them secure themselves at an already existing location in the community, meaning National United Bank. And they were having some inquiries regarding economic development incentives and what we might do to help them and secure them in that location. I'm happy to report to you this evening that this particular 380 agreement is very similar to the 380 agreement that you did with Atwoods. That's a grant based upon sales tax and performance of sales tax, and it's capped at a maximum of $100,000. That $100,000 is for the redevelopment, or if you will, the demolition of the site of National United Bank so that Rosa's Cafe can build in Hewitt, Texas. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug. I now open it to council for question, discussion, and movement to a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Fortenberry.
I move to approve the resolution number 2020-16, authorizing the city manager to enter into a 380 agreement with BDC Limited Partnership.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Fortenberry, a second from Dr. Bruce. I call for final question and our discussion. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Bankole,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Fortenberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Turner,
Yes. Item number 17, discussion and briefing concerning the coronavirus and any actions necessary thereto. Bo?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, in the past, in keeping with the past, the order that you have before you this evening, if authorized by the city council, would be issued tomorrow on the 8th. This order requires local businesses to practice and have a health and safety policy, which includes the wearing of masks at locations. The county has recently extended their declaration of disaster through December 31st of this year. And this particular order would actually extend for 31 days in the event that you want to do something after this particular item. The period for this particular order would get us through to our next meeting, or our first meeting in the month of January, and that 31 days would begin from December 8th. Also attached in your packet, I placed the letter that was sent from the Texas Department of State Health Services to Judge Felton that outlined how the trauma service area, M, that we are a part of, and the restrictions on capacity that have gone in place actually on November 29th. And I would be happy to answer any questions you, the council, may have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. I now open it for question, comment, and our movement to a motion to the council.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Fortenberry,
I move to approve the order dated December the 8th, 2020.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Fortenberry and a second from Bob Potter. I call for final question and our discussion. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Van Kelly,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Fortenberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Turner,
Yes. Item 18, discussion and action on canceling the council meeting on December the 21st, 2020. Bo?
Mr. Mayor and members of council, if it's desirable on your part to not have a need to meet on the 21st, the week of Christmas, we think we can make it over the next little bit to get to the first meeting in January, and we could wish everybody a Merry Christmas tonight. Thank you.
Now, this doesn't prevent Santa from coming to town, right?
It does not.
Okay.
But he will be wearing a mask.
Okay, he'll be wearing a mask, but he is still coming to town. I just want to make that clear. All right, I now open it to the council for discussion, question, and our movement to a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Dr. Bruce?
I move that we cancel the council meeting on December 21st, 2020.
I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Dr. Bruce, a second from Mr. Van Colley. I call for final question and our discussion. Hearing none, will you poll the council for a vote?
Fortenberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Fuller,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes.
Van Kelly,
Yes.
Turner,
Yes. Item 19, motion to adjourn. Do I hear?
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Fuller. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Fuller, a second from Mr. Potter. Will you poll the council for a vote, please?
Van Kelly,
Yes.
Potter,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Fuller,
Yes.
Fortenberry,
Yes, ma'am.
Turner.
Yes. This concludes the Hewitt City Council meeting.